All right. Well, hello, and welcome everyone to our BG5 Live. Great to have each and every one of you here with us today. Today is May 10th, 2022. It is episode 155, and today we're going to take a look at trait 23. So we're going to be taking a look at assimilation, and we're going to be taking a look at opening the door to mutation. So in opening the door to mutation, one of the things that you'll notice is today we're going to make it a little bit shorter. We've taken out a couple of things, and so we're opening the door to mutation and starting to add things, change things, move things around. So just to give you a heads up of what to expect. I don't know what to expect. I'm waiting for clarity, but the door is open to that mutation. So before we get started, let's say hello to our panel. Let's start with Anna. Hello, Anna. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here. Glad to be back. I missed you all last time.
Yes, great to have you here. Welcome, Anna. And Shellie. Welcome, Shellie.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here today, too. We'll see what's about to mutate.
Yes. Great to have you here. And Linda's not able to join us today, and we'll just continue forward. So we would love, especially if any of you have trait 23. We noticed that none of us have trait 23. So if any of you have trait 23, whether you are live on Facebook or whether you're live in our Zoom room, we would love to hear from you as well. So let's get started and let's take a look at trait 23. Let's take a look at opening the door to mutation. Speaking of opening the door to mutation, again, as we take a look at May, in a sense, we started with the 2 in taking a look at purpose fulfilled through form, and we took a look at the driver last week. This is the direction of self. And so we can see in May is really about getting into the driver's seat of life with unique insights, leading by example and being in the now by expressing the art of living enthusiastically. So we started last week with the driver. And you'll notice that here we're now, in a sense, opening the door, if you will, with the 23, we're opening the door to change, assimilation. And one of the things that you'll notice over the next few weeks is all of the ways of expression are going to be showing up in purpose fulfilled through form. And interesting enough, it starts out with the individual expressions. So for example, we have assimilation to start us off. Again, it is this unique insight that opens the door to change. Next week, we'll have collaboration, which is leading by example. The following week, we'll have contemplation, which is I am now. All of these are individual traits. All 4 of these are individual traits that lead to change, to lead to mutation, lead to something new and different and unique. It also helps us get in touch with our own uniqueness as well. And then at the end of the month, we shift into the logical expression of skills in the 16, right? So again, really fascinating if we take a look at purpose fulfilled through form, and every single trait in communication and action, every single trait in expression in the throat is all here in this purpose fulfilled through form. In communication and action, the throat is all about manifestation, right? So this is the time for manifesting things. One of the things that's also interesting, we'll take a look at the 23 today. One of the things that you'll see is on the opposite side of the 23. This is one of the interesting connections where it creates definition. We also have that in the past and future direction as well. So the 23 is also then layered onto what we're experiencing now in the world as well with the past and future direction. What the background is all about this unique insight opening the door to change as the future direction as well. right? And again, it is individual. So it is being able to, as we start to explore this 23, it is being able to express ideas that are new, different, and unique. This is the ability to express unique knowing. So that not only is what's there in the core essence and grounding balance for this next week, but it is also there currently in the past and future direction. So it's setting up the collective environment as well. So let's dive in and take a look at today's theme. So today's theme is assimilation. So it's the unique insight that opens the door to mutation. Whenever we say mutation, it's opening the door to change, right? This is unique. This is individual. This is an individual expression of ideas and knowing. And so this is the unique insight that opens the door to mutation. So what it's about is explaining unique insights in a simple and accessible way, right? Sometimes, right, we have to assimilate what's out there currently in the collective and being able to pull it in to be able to have even people be able to conceptualize or understand what this unique concept or unique approach is all about. So it is about explaining unique insights in a simple and accessible way. And when inspired by inner knowing, right? So inner knowing, this unique voice can express an acceptance of diversity and cut through mental intolerance. Again, whenever you are individual, unique, different, right? Oftentimes the collective doesn't like what's different and unique, right? It's can be scary. And so this also brings forth the acceptance of diversity, meaning also bringing forth the acceptance of uniqueness, right? So cutting through the mental intolerance of things have to be a certain way, right? This is unique. This is individual. So taking a look at how you can bring in what is unique, what is different. So it opens the way for new ways of thinking to take hold. And insights are potentially different and transformative. Those insights require clear communication, right? If you're not clear in your communication and it's something new and different, people are going to reject it. People aren't going to understand it. People are going to start to see you as a freak. This is the genius to freak, the 2343, right? So insights that are potentially different and transformative needs that clarity of communication to be fully understood. And what you know or don't know will always attract the attention of others, especially if you have this particular trait defined. And timing is everything, right? This is also a projected strength, meaning that it does need to be recognized. It does need to be invited, no matter what your career type is all about. So if the timing of delivering your unique wisdom is off, you'll be dismissed as a freak, leading to the fear of rejection, right? So either your ideas are like, what? You don't quite get it, right? People just don't understand. It just goes over people's heads. People can't see it. So it really is about the correct timing. And there's, the fear on the other side with the 43 is the fear of rejection. So there can also be a fear of rejection here as well when the timing is off. And remember, they're opposite in the wheel. So especially with when we're taking a look at the core essence, the 43 is on the other side. So the 23 is very influenced by the 43. And again, the fear of the 43 is the fear of rejection. And when you speak what you truly know, this is about knowing, this is about inner knowing. So when you speak what you truly know, your genius will be recognized and you will earn the respect of others. So again, it is all about timing to speak with clarity what is new and different so that people can assimilate whatever that idea is into what's already there in order to bring what's new and different, right, into the world, into the collective, into recognition, into acceptance. Beautiful. Well, I would love to hear, and especially if anyone is here in our Zoom room live, or if you're on Facebook and you have the 23, would love to hear from you. None of us have the 23. I do have the 43 on the other side, but I would like to start by, and I know Shellie and Anna, you have experiences with this and experiences with family members and people who have the 23. So I would love to hear your insights and perspectives on the 23. Anna, would you like to start?
Sure. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Well, one of the, maybe as an example, yes, I have a couple friends, a couple people in my life that have the 23. And it really does matter how they articulate what they're trying to say, because there's stages to it. They don't, like it says right here, you don't always know what you know. And especially for advisors, a certain kind of advisor, they need to say it or hear themselves or be invited to speak, and then they find out what they know. So sometimes you can just blurt it out and it's kind of crazy, and then you let, I just listen, try to ask them a few more questions, and then it starts to kind of fill out. And the other thing I was going to add is I was looking for a recipe over the weekend, I think Saturday or something. So I was looking at YouTube videos, just kind of scanning through. And I have a couple favorite people I like to visit, but this was on a whole different subject. So I was just looking at people, and I found it fascinating because some people are entertaining, they present themselves with being entertaining. Other people are very pragmatic and teach you skills, and other people sort of just blabber. I mean, there's all sorts of ways to deliver. But this one particular woman, I was fascinated because I bet anything she had the 23, because she would stumble sometimes and sort of get her words a little crossed, but you knew what she was saying. And she had such a depth of information that it wasn't just around the recipe. It was around, you could tell she had layers and layers of background to what I was looking for. And it was really interesting to me to watch these different presentations of different people, because people in some of the comments, I don't often read the comments, but I was very curious. People adored her. She had this very lovely way of being insightful that created dimension in what she was talking about, not just the step 1, step 2, step 3. The recipe had 3 things in it, but the way she presented it had a tremendous amount of, when it says acceptance of diversity, it was like she would take this and create like 5 different ways of saying the same thing so that everybody would understand it. I thought it was fascinating, and I bet anything, just watching it was kind of mutative just listening to her. So that's an example of what the 23 can do.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that, Anna. Yeah, and just watching people, especially on YouTube, and seeing the way that they describe things, whether clearly or not, and how they do, kind of gives you an insight into this as well. Yeah, thank you, Anna. And how about for you, Shellie?
Well, I'm just quickly on my software here looking up my entire family, because I know that of 5 siblings in our family, I'm the only one who doesn't have any of these traits. I have a brother and a sister who have the full strength, and my other brother and sister have either side of it, the 43 and the 23. And then when I get to my own family, my own kids all have it. My husband has the full strength. My son and daughter my daughter's got the full strength. One son has 1 trait, and the other son and I are the only ones in the family who don't have it. So we've seen lots of examples of this. And in my family growing up, because it's completely open for me, I was easily conditioned here or learned how this works. And in our family, oh my gosh, lots of playing board games, card games, chess, strategic stuff, a lot of unique insights being shared, and especially like with my younger sister, she's the most intelligent person on the planet, and then she'll just out of nowhere say something really ridiculous that everybody goes, huh? Where did that come from? Until I explained to her what this strength was that she has. She's the one I can point to the most, who most of us would scratch our head over what she was talking about a lot of the time, because it'd be these insights out of nowhere that didn't seem to be connected to anything. And now that I did her design for her, and she's very proud of the fact that she has the genius freak strength. So just even being aware, and I've watched this play out with my husband and my daughter. Both of them work very well together. My husband spends a lot of time. I like, Tanya, how you said that, how people that you were following with this could explain things in many different ways. That's pretty much what my husband does for a living, is he absorbs this tons of financial information and big world picture view and all the intricate moving parts. And then he simplifies it for anybody who doesn't have a clue about any of it. He's continually presenting it to them in simplified and multiple different analogies. I hear him use all different kinds of analogies that are spot on and make so much sense. And so he's able to really clearly get his message across when things are changing, especially when times are, because the financial markets are constantly changing. They're connected to everything that's going on in the world. So, and it's been also, I've also watched how this works for him, where I can see something coming to him, an insightful knowing brewing, and he'll mention a part of it, but he won't tell me the whole thing. And he'll say, I'm still kind of, this is still not quite there. And then, within a few days or a week, then he'll come out with it. And so he's learned over time to not just blurt it out, to let it sit until it becomes clear, and then he knows. And then in the moment he knows, and he's got the analogy to explain it in a way that is like, and some of the things he says are just like so simple, yet so clear that you wonder how no one ever said it that way before, because it provides such an incredible, unique, like it feels like a light bulb goes on in my head when he says it. Well, of course, that's the way it is. That makes perfect sense. So he does that quite a lot. And I'm always just so surprised that he can come up with something so simple and clear that hits the nail right on the head. So that's been my experience with it.
Beautiful. And the beautiful example. And it sounds like you're around quite a few people that have that particular trait as well as that particular strength as well.
Yes. So I've learned by watching and listening. And I've also, it's interesting because in my family, I always felt like I was trying to keep up with everybody, that I was trying to be as smart as all the rest of them. And now when I got to see all the charts, I went, well, no wonder I felt like that. They're all just constantly being genius freaks. Right. And I'm just trying to, I learned how to expand my thinking on a lot of things and could be really flexible about all the different ways that they're bringing in information, which I think really helped me to be able to think outside the box really well. But it did make me feel like I wasn't quite smart enough a lot of the times. But I said that to my sister the other day, and she said, "You're nuts. You're super smart." So not necessarily about intelligence, but that unique insight. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
I wanted to add another part in this thing about rejection, because a lot of times we don't take the time to listen to somebody. And especially with little kids, I was fascinated when my kids were learning language, and the way they would phrase things, or the word they would pick out, or the sound they would pick out. And if you're just listening to the first sentence somebody says, most people would jump on that or start a conversation on that. If you listen to a couple of sentences before you engage, then this freak part gets a little more time to start organizing, because it is an individual experience. Insight is a personal experience, and then you're trying to translate that so that it's useful to other people. That's what the mutative energy is about. So that takes some time. So if you're around somebody that's kind of blurting, or ineffective in what they're trying to explain, sometimes as a listener, you can support them and their genius will get a little bit more organized as you let them speak.
Yeah, beautifully said, Anna. Yeah, thank you. And Tanya was saying, I know well to the look I get when I explain something that doesn't land well, because I haven't waited until I've distilled it through my mind enough to speak clearly without sounding vague on any point. And she also said, and Anna, you nailed it. What you were speaking about earlier, and Tanya, I don't know if you would like to share a little bit more. It sounds like you may have the 23. We would love to hear from you if you are open to that.
Sure thing. I'm not
Hi, Tanya.
new. You both of you, Shellie and Anna, both really for not having that really did a beautiful job of articulating your experience, and I appreciate it because it can be disorienting and painful sometimes when we feel passionate about something and I stumble through it, and I don't feel I have the support because I just wasn't clear enough for them to be able to support it. And so hearing your experience just was cause for me to relax some of my own inner judgment about, well, why can't I be more clear, and why didn't that land, and I don't understand, and what's wrong. I can now understand that there is value in actually stumbling, because it can in the end help clarify something as I watch people kind of look at me or funny or back up, in a conversation, or ignore what I said and go on to something else without much feedback.
Yes. Yes. And what you said, Tanya, is brilliant, because again, recognizing there is that sort of fear of rejection, or fear that you can't say exactly what you want to say, or fear of being that you can't articulate it in the way you want to articulate it, or that people will see you as a freak, or they won't get it, or don't understand. And knowing not to take it personally, and knowing that it is just a part of your process, because when you get it, when you get that clarity of how to speak it, and it lands, just like Shellie was saying with her husband, when it lands, it's so simple and it's so clear and it's so profound that it has a mutative effect. It has this ability to open the doors to change. And so it's being patient with that, but not making it personal or taking it personal. And sometimes it's difficult because it's easy to take it personally. But just what you shared was really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Tanya.
Sure. Thank you.
Yes. And Valerie, it looks like you have the 23 as well. I don't know if you are open to speaking as well. You were saying that I find that sometimes I have challenges explaining my insights and clarity with my family. I'm recognizing that the timing must be off, because I'm definitely viewed as the freak instead of the genius. Is there anything that you would like to add, Valerie? Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. I find this to be a very challenging one for me. as I said, I'm definitely someone who, just through my life experiences and my studies and things like that, I get these insights and wisdom and things that light me up so much. And I want to be able to share them with everyone, family and friends, and be able to share what I know and share this information. And I often find that sometimes I would tell myself, oh, I must be getting too caught up in my head about the right way to say something or how to do it, because more often than not, I find myself trying to share this information. And just as others have been saying, sometimes you get kind of jumbled with, expressing it or using the right words or how it comes across. And people sometimes look back at me with almost a state of confusion. And then recognizing that, that didn't land the right way. So trying to find another way to word it. But then the other part of that too, as I mentioned, is learning more about this trait 23 definitely gives me a lot more insight too into how that works, because especially with my family, I've often joked that I'm kind of the black sheep as far as how I view life and the wisdom and insights that I have. And so I'm starting to realize that often maybe with them that there is a timing of delivery issue there, just because more often than not, they tend to view me more as the freak with the information, as opposed to the genius or really receiving, what it is that I'm wanting to share.
Yes, yes. Beautifully shared, Valerie. I love what you said, and being able to recognize it, just like what Tanya was saying, being able to recognize that, again, there's nothing wrong with you, because oftentimes if things come out of your mouth and nobody's getting it, it's easy to, in a sense, withdraw or end up not saying anything or taking everything personally. And the same thing, just in a sense, almost having fun with it. Like, okay, there's the freak.
That's exactly it. Yes. Yeah. It's learning to, like you said, not take it personally, and just looking at it as an experience, and yeah, being able to find some of the humor in it as well.
Yes, exactly. I love that. And thank you, Valerie. Beautiful. And there's the other side of it too, as well, when we take a look at the 43. So this is the how you get affected when you're connected. So this is if you don't have the 23, especially if you have the 43. So again, what is the shadow when you don't have the 23? And this is one of my shadows trait. I don't have trait 23, so it can be the lack of ability to express your breakthrough ideas. So it can relate also, Tanya and Valerie, with what you say, in kind of the opposite side of having these breakthrough ideas, but not knowing how to express it, and jumbling over my words or not making it clear, and then getting really upset that people just don't get it. They don't understand. So the questions are, do you have brilliant and unique ideas, but you have difficulty explaining it to others? Or do others reject your new ideas? Or do you have a hard time expressing what your unique knowing is all about? And again, you can see that the 23 and the 43 are very, very much related. Again, they're opposites in the wheel. So even if you have the 23 but not the 43, or vice versa, there's sort of this continuum, and they really affect each other in a very similar way, because they are opposites, because they create definition when they are part of the past and future direction, or when they're part of the core essence and the grounding and balance. So the problem is that you may experience a mental anxiety that your ideas are too weird, or that they'll be rejected. And you have a need to make sense to others, but can find it hard to clearly express your unique knowing. And again, if your timing's off when you share your knowing, others may dismiss your insights or think you are too weird or too freakish. So again, you can see that deep connection between those two. So the solution, especially if you have the 43 but don't have the 23, is working with others will help you express your true inner knowing, and others can help you find the words to clearly express your knowing, as well as help you identify the correct timing for sharing your knowing. What's very interesting, one of the things we take a look at in BG5 and also what we call OC16, which is larger groups or larger organizations, these are all things that support the two that we were talking about last week, the two of vision and direction. And in order for the vision and direction for a larger organization to be able to get the financing that they need in order to bring something new to the organization, it has to have a complete plan, and it has to be able to explain the plan in a very clear manner. And this is, in having the 2 and having the 43, but not having the 23, right? That's sometimes a struggle for me, in being able to communicate those pieces that I really want to implement, but I have them in my head. I can see it. I can visualize it. I can know it, but expressing it's a whole other thing. So I would love to hear if anyone has the 43, but not the 23, or also Tanya or Valerie as well. I don't know if you also have the 43 as well or not. If there's any insights that you see in not having the 23, but having the 43. Or Anna and Shellie as well.
Karen, it looks like Vicky has the 43 and not
Oh,
the 23.
great.
So she might want to jump in. Yeah.
Yes, Vicky.
Morning.
Hello.
So as an evaluator, I've found that, as you were saying, you just need to find the right people to either sit and bounce the concept off to be able to form a clear way of articulating and presenting, those things that I can see that just need fixing. But it is all about the timing, as almost everything is, because even if it is the most perfect solution in the world, if the rest of the team or whoever's on the receiving end isn't in a place to receive it, it's not going to land well. So
yes,
yeah, I was sitting nodding at everything you were saying about it being a big shadow.
Yes, I can share many of examples, even through the BG5 Business Institute, where it's like, oh, this is brilliant, and then I can't even explain what it is. Let alone put it into action.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Vicky. And Tanya was saying, I only have the 23, yet I understand how the 43 only people can struggle in expressing things clearly. Yeah, exactly. Yes, Shellie.
No, it's so funny. I just had a question pop into my head, Karen, that you must have picked up telepathically. Hadn't even finished forming the thought. And I've lost it now. I was just thinking about the opposite then. And I think, well, we probably cover that in trait 43, but when you have the 23, but not the 43, that you have the ability to express a breakthrough idea, but you don't get the unique knowing yourself. Is it when you just have the 23, are you just designed to work with someone who's got the 43 and you can do it together to bring that unique and someone else's unique insight through? Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I would love to ask Tanya how you see that show up for you in having the 23, but not having the 43. If you see or recognize anything about that. I don't.
Oh,
there you go.
You have to.
I think the interesting thing about working with somebody with the 43 is the rapid synergy that builds
Mm.
In terms of developing an idea, particularly if it's more esoteric in nature and not as well known. If I can communicate, what I find is if I can communicate to somebody with the 43, there is that sense of automatic knowing, and even though they themselves are stumbling to feed it back to me, it helps me, I think, more quickly assimilate what I'm trying to say, because there's just that innate, yeah, I get you and I get what you're saying. I feel the essence of it. I just can't quickly or at all find what that person feels to be the right words to express back to me what I'm attempting to put together.
Beautifully said, Tanya, because I experienced the same thing on the other end, right? So again, you can see the synergy that's possible in these two traits, someone having the 43, someone having the 23, being able to work together in order to, both sort of stumble and kind of get each other and start to put together the simplicity of what the idea is that may be difficult for one or the other, but you put them together and that's where the magic can happen, right? And this is part of what we take a look at in BG5, and BG5 certification is really how to connect with others, in a sense, sort of taking advantage of those shadows that you may have and taking a look at, really, it is part of how you are naturally designed to attract others, and not feeling like you have to do it all yourself, and creating those connections, creating those electromagnetics that, in a sense, spark both of you, that empower both of you, where it's a win-win for both of you. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tanya.
That brings up something that was beautiful, because this whole relevance of timing and trying to articulate, trying to find the words, trying to make sense of it, all of that stuff. But sometimes you can know what you're talking about, but the timing is off, not just because of you, but other people are not mutating, or your audience, or whoever, your family, whoever you're trying to communicate with, the frequencies may not be quite in sync. So it's easy to think you're off, but that's not always the case. You want to see who you're talking to. And yes, you can improve your idea or have the electromagnetic, and that improves the situation. It always feels really good, when you have that stream to communicate. But sometimes you might, if you're feeling like, oh gosh, that didn't work, or that's goofed up, you might want to see, well, who's my audience? Who was I talking to? Are they ready? Or not that you have to figure all that out, but you don't, when it comes to not personalizing that the message didn't get all the way across, sometimes they're in formation too. They're getting ready to find something that is valuable that you're going to tell them in a week or a year or something. So there's this synergy that works beyond just the 2343 in a bigger field.
Yes, beautifully said, Anna. And Vicky, who's an evaluator, she was saying that the lunar traits also help her if people aren't around, right? So tapping into the driving force, into the lunar traits to help. And she said it's, but it's a small window every month. But you do have that window every month where that does get connected. And so that's a beautiful example as well. Excellent. Yeah.
I'll just add a little to what Anna was saying too, is that what I've recognized or observed in my husband, especially in his later years, is how much he really, I watch him just hold on to things for a while, that he really has this inner sense now of when the timing is correct. And I think it's your decision-making strategy is there to help support that. and especially like we said, this is an invited, an advisor strength. So really needs to be recognized and invited first. So that all helps with the timing. Is if you have that unique insight, even if you've got the clear words for it, it still may not be, like everyone said, the right timing for everyone else to hear it. And what I've observed in him is his ability to just sit with something and just hold on to it. And then he seems to be able to really gauge when the timing is correct. And, funny you should say that, he'll say, and out comes this unique insight that he's been carrying around for a while. So he waits till he's invited or asked to speak about it. And then it comes out, and then it lands really well. So that's been great to observe.
Yeah. And that's a great insight for all of us, is that, timing is everything. And sometimes we have this pressure to get the idea out there, or this pressure of wanting to be able to share it. And sometimes it is just trusting our decision-making strategy to know the exact time of when it's going to land, and when it's going to land in a way, right, that is going to change things. It's going to mutate things, that people really get it. And people go, wow, how did you come up with that? Where they really see you as the genius rather than the freak. Beautiful. Well, it has been amazing. Thank you so very much. And we're actually condensing, and I think I mentioned this at the beginning, condensing the BG5 Live, really being able to have a little bit more discussion around having the trait or not having the trait. So I've actually removed the quality and removed the celebrity, since we just kind of flew through them anyway, and really just focusing on the trait, and just a beautiful discussion. And thank you so much, everyone, for your contribution. It's really, really rich. And for those of you who may be new to BG5, or you want to find out, do you have trait 23? Do you have trait 43? You can download your own chart at the BG5businessinstitute.com. And see if you have the 23 or the 43. You can also watch past episodes of BG5 Live. You can find them in our free resource library. You can also find them on YouTube. You can also subscribe to the trait of the day if you want to find the specific traits every day, as well as the qualities. And our courses are starting. We start the BG5 Foundation Course next week. I can't believe it. It's going to be an amazing class. So would love to invite you, if you are just starting, or you're just new, or just getting introduced to BG5 and human design. This is a great place to start. And I don't usually teach the foundation course, so it's really going to be fun for me teaching the foundation course. I usually teach the more advanced courses. So would love to have you on board. Even those of you who may have taken the foundation course in the past, you can always audit it as well. One of the things that I have found, and one of the things I love about this information, is that no matter how much you study it, there's always these deeper and deeper and deeper nuances, just like these BG5 Lives. Hearing the experience of each person really brings each of these traits to life. And so in our courses as well, being able to see all of the design come to life, and every course is so different based on the people that are in it, and what you can learn from each and every person. So invite you to check it out. At least come to the first class free. That's next Tuesday. Would love to see you in the BG5 Foundation course. All right, let's wrap everything up. And what I'd love to do is hear from each of our panelists and each of our guests, if you would like to share as well. What are some things just to pay attention to this week, as we have both the 23 and the 43 defined? So we have, this is also the strength of efficiency. We have the strength of efficiency defined with this trait of assimilation, also the trait of breakthrough as well. That's the 43. Having that in the background, what are just some things to be aware of or pay attention to? Do you like to start us off, Anna?
Yeah. I would just recommend kind of paying attention to, especially if you don't have the 23, like I don't. I had an experience of trying to articulate something new to somebody else last week, or a couple of days ago, and I found myself really stumbling along. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. So find out how, now that it's here, what insights are coming in? How are you trying to express them? Have you been invited to try to explore it? Is there room for it to be explored? You don't have to have it all figured out. Part of it is the exploration. So I would just recommend sort of noticing your experience with it.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you, Anna. How about Tanya? Is there anything that you would like to add?
Yeah, I could share a strategy with regard to this idea of timing. And to Anna's point about possibly being that the other person is not yet ready, or maybe on the precipice of being ready to receive. One of the things I've learned is when I get a look of confusion is to acknowledge that that's happening and just say something like, oh, you look a bit confused. And then ask them a question like, what about, what do you think about what I said? Now that's come through trial and error, and then understanding that there's reason this is happening. It's probably not personal, even though it can feel quite personal to me. And I found that to be a really good strategy, not only for me to relax and just acknowledge what's happening, but to also invite them into the conversation and possibly gain some understanding about, where there was confusion, instead of assuming that it was anything I could have said better or different, that it could have made it land better, when it's not. I really can't control how they hear it.
Right.
And so I realized because I can't control how they hear it, I need to stop trying to do that and back up and just ask them and invite them into conversation.
I love that. Yeah, beautifully said, Tanya. Thank you so much. And thank you for your contribution today. Beautiful. And Valerie, is there anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I would say I think one of the greatest things to pay attention to or be aware of, and I'm just speaking mainly from my personal experience, is really focusing on the timing, just as others have said too, just the timing of bringing out this wisdom or insights or whatever it is you want to share, because that's one of the greatest lessons I'm learning right now, is just being very aware and receptive to, and trusting my inner authority onto when the timing feels right, as opposed to just blurting things out and just going for it when the timing may not be correct for it.
Beautifully said, Valerie. Yeah, and it's so important with both these traits as well as the strength, and beautiful words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Valerie. And thank you for your contribution today. It's great to hear from you. And Vicky as well, in having the 43 but not the 23.
Yeah, and I'd love to add a nuance to what everyone's mentioned about timing, and that's to know that if you've entered into it correctly for you, and to understand it is actually a mutative strength, and it may not feel like it lands correctly at the time, but that's not to say that that doesn't change that person, and it was actually very correct.
Ooh, I love that. That is very profound, Vicky. Yes, that even if it feels like for you that it wasn't correct, you may never know the impact that it actually had. I love that. And it may have been completely correct. Wow. Thank you for adding that, Vicky. And thank you for your contribution as well. Beautiful. This is so fun. And Shellie, let's wrap everything up.
Yeah, wow, that was awesome, everyone. Vicky, especially, I love that because, yeah, we don't often know what the impact of what we're saying or doing, the ripple effects of it. So that's beautiful. For me, I was realizing that just how much I've been focusing on being more efficient in this last few days, in this last little while. It's been a lot of focus on, so I would say pay attention to where you're being invited to make things more efficient or to bring in new things, where the support for you bringing in new things is there. And I love that this was also mentioned, that this is, somebody mentioned that this is the beginning of something. It's a time to have the conversations around what needs to change in order for things to become more efficient. And, how do we utilize that strength of the environment and the background frequency in a group setting, even to help everybody focus on making things more efficient. So that's sort of my takeaway for this, that I'm going to just keep riding this little wave while it's here.
Exactly. And it'll be emphasized this week. But again, remember, I think it's till the end of June, I believe it is. Don't quote me on that, but around the end of June or into July, I can't remember exactly at the moment. But we're going to also have this as part of our past and future direction. So it's going to be influencing us quite a bit for the next couple of months, right? Throughout May and throughout June for sure. And so again, what Shellie was pointing to is this is really opening the door to mutation. And so what the 23 is all about is simply opening the door. And it ties in beautifully with what Vicky just said as well, is sometimes what you may say you think doesn't land, but maybe it's simply open the door to change, open the door to mutation. Beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone. It has been our absolute pleasure. Thank you to Tanya and Valerie and Vicky for joining in. I loved your contribution. And also thank you so much, Shellie and Anna, as always, for your brilliance. All right, everyone, have a fabulous week. And we look forward to seeing you all next week, where we'll take a look at making a contribution. All right, everyone, have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.